Hey guys, I'm going to talk about something that I think people have quite a big misconception about when it comes to learning. And so, what I'm going to talk about today is the fact that your brain can only take what it's ready for. Okay, you can't force yourself to change, you can't force your brain to change, right? You have to guide your brain with the proper information, the proper techniques, okay, the proper input. So a lot of people think that, for example, if they try to learn something in one day, then they're going to be able to do it. Like, I haven't studied for my math test for 2 weeks. I'm going to do it all in one night. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Maybe you have something coming up and you should have been practicing for a long time, and now you only have a week to go, and you think you're going to be able to do it all in 1 week. Even if you spend a ton of time doing it, it just doesn't work that way. And that's because you're trying to put information into your brain that it's just not ready for, okay? Because when you think about a skill is built up very slowly over time in increments, right? It doesn't all happen all at once. Like, you don't get this huge burst of skill all at once. A lot of people think that happens. Like, people have talked to me before, they're like, oh, you can do that just because that's how your brain works. You're talented. I'm like, no, you just don't understand that. Like, I know the process of how to do things, and I put a lot of time and effort into figuring out how to do it, which is why I can do it. And why I want to teach other people that you can do it too. So I think this is a really important concept. So one more time, I want to tell you, the mind cannot be forced to change. You have to guide, okay? So in order to guide your brain to change, in order to gain the skills you want, right, you have to offer your brain the proper stimulus, right? So this is what I would call like input. You have to give your brain the proper input that's actually going to make the changes that you want. Okay, so obviously there's a ton of different things you could do regarding input. And honestly, if you're doing anything regarding your skill, as long as you're spending time doing it on some level, that probably is going to raise the level of whatever you're at. But if you want to do it the most efficiently, in my opinion, this is the best input you can give your brain. What you need to do is just like in language learning, if you ever heard of like Krashen's input hypothesis, you need to find I+1 information. So I is what you currently know, and the +1 is like a small piece of information that you don't already know, right? So it's basically just like I said, skills are built up very small layers, right? Very small stages, okay? So what you want to do is you need to find that information that's just one stage up, right? One stage up. So the question is, how do we find that information and how do we learn it, right? So basically all you need to do is follow your interest, okay, when it comes to whatever you're learning. First off, if you're not interested in what you're learning, that's your first mistake, right? Because you have to, like, one of the prerequisites is that you need to be interested in what you're learning. Okay, so once you're interested in what you're learning, okay, you should probably have something in mind that you want to be able to do, right? So let's say you're learning to play piano. Maybe you want to learn to play a really cool song. Maybe you're learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or wrestling or some other martial art. Maybe you want to learn a new technique, okay? Maybe you want to learn a takedown. Maybe you want to learn a submission, whatever it is. Maybe you're playing a video game. Maybe you want to learn a new mechanic, okay? Maybe you're learning a language and you want to understand anime, or you want to understand science fiction novels, or you want to eventually get into translating or medical field or whatever. So basically, you need to have a goal in mind of what you want to learn. Then what you're going to do, right, is you're going to try to learn that thing. Okay, you're going to try to learn it. And like I said, you're not going to learn like a whole bunch all at once, right? But what you'll find is when you try to learn the thing you want to learn, it's going to be way too hard for you, right? But as you try to learn it, you're going to notice that you're going to get caught on some step of the like process of whatever you're learning, okay? So for example, if you're learning a video game mechanic, maybe there's 5 steps to that mechanic, right? And you can't even do the first step. So there in your mind is perfect I+1 information, right? It's literally just one step up, okay? It's not like a whole big thing you're learning all at once. Yeah, you're trying to learn something bigger, but as you try to learn something bigger, then you spot like the one step that you need to do, okay, to actually start learning the whole thing. right? So the bigger concept is made up of a bunch of smaller steps as well. And within those steps, there may be even smaller steps within those steps, if that makes sense. So once you figure out what step you're stuck on, right? You want to do this, but I can't do this, okay? Then you need to focus on that thing, because that is the I+1 information for you, okay? That is the information that you need in order to progress to where you want to get eventually. So if you look at like a video game mechanic, like for example, air rolling in Rocket League, maybe the first thing you need to do to learn how to air roll in Rocket League is just popping the ball off the wall, right? Popping the ball off the wall in the proper, in the proper direction and speed and whatnot. So once you realize like, oh, I'm trying to do the whole thing and I can't even get the first part down, just focus on the first part. Just focus on the I+1 information. Okay, if you're trying to do jujitsu and you want to learn a triangle, maybe you can't even, you can't even get to the position on somebody. Okay, well now you need to know what to do to get there. So how do you get to the triangle? Start thinking about that. And then when you find a method of how to get to the triangle, start using the I+1 method, where basically you're like, okay, first I'm going to try to control his arm. Okay, and work down the stages. Work down the stages and just I+1, 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 I+1 every day. And it takes time, okay? It takes time every day. But think about it. If somebody tries to learn everything all at once, right? They try to learn everything, a whole test in 2 days, right? Their fundamental nuanced understanding of that test is going to be really low compared to the person that learned the individual nuances at every level and gained that little tiny bit of information extra at every level, right? And slowly compiled it together. When you learn things that way, you end up having like a very nuanced understanding of your skill, right? You're not just like haphazardly trying to do something, right? Yeah, you're trying to do something difficult. You're trying to do something difficult, but you're breaking it down. You're understanding that it takes time and that you have to understand each different step, right? So basically what you need to do is pick something that you want to learn in your field, whatever it is, okay? And then break it down into smaller steps and learn those smaller steps individually. It seems simple, right? It seems easy, but people think like, oh, I can't do the song I want to play. Like, I just can't do it. I'm not good at piano. Well, the problem is you're not taking and doing the thing that is accessible to you, the I+1 information. You're not even starting on that. Okay, that's where everyone has to start. Nobody is immediately like the best piano player ever. Okay, even prodigies, it takes them a long time to work up to where they want to be. Okay, so don't be discouraged, because again, it seems like it's going to take a long time if you're learning so slowly, incrementally. But what you realize is that when you spread it out over many days, even if you only learned a little bit every day, you're going to have so much better understanding than somebody who tried to learn a whole bunch just at once. And people will turn around, even if it's only been a month, 2 months, 3 months, because you can make some real progress in like 3 months. People will turn around and be like, how did you do it? How are you so good? Are you a natural at it? Okay, I've had people ask me things like this, and I'm like, no, I just know like how to learn. Like, I know what to focus on. I know what information I need to get. I know where to get it, right? And if you don't know where to get this information, like literally YouTube, you can literally search anything on YouTube and find literally any piece of information you need when it comes to learning. So all you have to do, guys, is follow this method and try to think critically at each step, okay? And like try to do something difficult, and when you get stuck, figure out where you're getting stuck, meet that requirement. If it's really difficult, that requirement, you may have to break that requirement down into even smaller steps. So it's like steps within steps, okay? And when you do that for a long, long period of time, you start to notice that requirements for like steps you took to learn one skill all of a sudden apply to another one, okay? And usually in the same sport, but sometimes in different things, especially when it comes to like mentally like competing against people. You'll find that a lot of like the techniques that you need to use and like stamina, like endurance and things like that, they apply to a lot of different skills. They may be like slightly different, but they apply to all kinds of skills. But especially like, certain things you may learn, like how to tighten a choke in like a triangle choke, how to like tighten it and make the area that you're choking smaller. And that might apply to a completely different submission, even not using your legs. You might be using your arm, but it's like the same concepts. And once you learn those little fine nuanced details at every step, you start to be able to apply them all over the place. Okay, and that's when you start to have a really fundamental understanding of the skill you're doing, and you start to develop some level of like mastery over the skill. Is when you have those very nuanced details and everything, you know how they interconnect, you know how you can get from one to another, and like what situation to use which one in, because you've built up that knowledge like slowly over time. So yeah, guys, I think that's all I have to say for this video. This is probably the best video I've ever made, so I'm gonna try to make more videos like this. But yeah, right now I'm studying for the JLPT N1, so I'm focusing on that, and there's some other things I'm focusing on too. But in general, I'm just trying to level up right now, so I hope this is helpful information, guys. And if there's anything you want me to talk about or anything you want me to discuss, definitely leave it in the comments. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.